The broken pact the stars above Earth had always felt safe. Trade ships crossed between worlds, colonies grew stronger, and humans finally believed that peace among species was possible. For years, Earth had stood with its allies. Together they signed treaties, shared knowledge, and protected each other's borders. But peace never lasts forever. The message came without warning. A broken transmission. At first, the screen showed only static, then screams filled the council chamber. The images became clear: cities on fire, fleets falling from the sky, and the desperate cries of an ally world begging for help. Please. This is Veric Prime. We are under attack. They are slaughtering us. The voices cut off in a burst of static. Then came silence. Every leader in the chamber sat frozen. The Great Alliance had been broken in a single night. The President of Earth, Alina Marlowe, stood slowly. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she gripped the table. Around her, generals, admirals, and diplomats whispered in shock. Who would dare? One asked. The answer came moments later. A new message appeared, this time from the enemy. On the screen, an alien commander with sharp scales and cold yellow eyes sneered. His voice carried arrogance, full of cruel pride. Humans of Earth, your allies have fallen. They were weak, and weakness deserves no place in the galaxy. Do not interfere, or you will share their fate. The chamber fell silent again. No one moved. No one spoke. The alien commander leaned closer to the screen. This is your only warning. Stand down, do nothing, or your worlds will burn. The transmission ended. The Council of Nations erupted into arguments. Some leaders demanded action, others urged caution. Admiral Rourke, a veteran of 100 battles, slammed his fist on the table. They killed our allies. If we let this pass, who will stand with us when they come for Earth? But another voice, a cautious diplomat, shook his head. We must be wise. We cannot face their empire. If we fight, humanity may not survive. The room broke into chaos. Voices rose. Leaders shouted, and fear spread like wildfire. President Marlowe said nothing. She turned her eyes toward the stars, visible through the chamber's glass dome. Veric Prime had been a friend, an ally. Now it was Ashdot. She thought of the children in those burning cities. She thought of the warning, do nothing, or your worlds will burn. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was quiet but strong. They believe we will stay silent. They believe we are afraid. They are wrong. The room froze. Every eye turned to her. Admiral Rourke's lips curled into a grim smile. The diplomat paled. The next day, news of the attack spread across Earth. Screens in cities showed the burning worlds of their allies. People stood in silence, fists clenched, tears in their eyes. In the streets, anger boiled. Crowds shouted for justice. Soldiers in barracks sharpened their blades and prepared their rifles. Families lit candles for the lost. The message was clear. Humanity had been warned to do nothing. Humanity would not obey. Deep in the orbital shipyards, engineers worked through the night. Massive battleships, hidden from the galaxy for years, were being prepared. Humanity had been building in secret doorways, fearing that one day peace would end. Now that day had come. One ship towered above all others. The Leviathan-class battleship, black steel, kilometers long, armed with weapons never before seen. It had been a legend whispered among the stars. Now it would sail. Captain Aria Voss, chosen to command the Leviathan, walked along the hangar deck. Her boots echoed against the steel floor. She looked up at the massive hull of her ship, and felt the weight of what was coming. "This isn't just war," she whispered to her first officer. "This is vengeance." But in the enemy's halls, laughter echoed. The alien commanders were pleased with themselves. "The humans will not act," one said. "They are weak. They hide behind words and treaties. They fear us." Another raised a glass. "Let them fear. Today we broke their allies. Tomorrow we will break them." But their laughter carried arrogance, not wisdom. They did not understand what kind of enemy humanity could be. They had seen humans as traders, colonists, explorers. They had not yet seen them as warriors. On Earth, the night before departure, President Marlowe addressed her people. "Today, our allies have fallen. Today, the galaxy tells us to remain silent. But humanity does not turn away from blood. Humanity does not forget. We will not let their killers go unpunished. We will show them that Earth remembers its friends and avenges them." Her words lit fire in every heart. Across the planet, men and women lined up to join the fleet. Some volunteered, knowing they would never return. Others prepared to fight. With all they had, the message spread. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity was coming. As dawn broke, the Leviathan rose from the shipyards, engines burning bright against the sky. Other ships followed, fleets assembling, weapons charged. Humanity was ready to sail into war. In the council chamber, Admiral Rourke stood beside President Marlowe. He looked at her, his eyes hard, his voice steady. "They warned us to stay silent." She nodded. "Then let the galaxy hear our answer." The fleet leaped into the stars, and so it began. The day the pact was broken. The day Earth chose war. The first strike the fleet moved through the cold void of space, engines burning like small suns. Every ship carried not just weapons, but the weight of vengeance. Inside the command deck of the Leviathan, Captain Aria Voss stood tall, her eyes fixed on the star map. Red markers showed the enemy fleet's patrol routes. "They think we won't come," she said softly. "Let's prove them wrong." Her officers nodded. Each one carried the same fire in their hearts. They had seen the images of Varick Prime. Burning, they had heard the screams. This mission was more than orders. It was justice. Admiral Rourke's voice carried across the fleet through the comms. "Soldiers of Earth, today we strike back. The enemy believes we are weak. They believe we will stay silent, but we are humanity. We remember every promise, every friend. And when our allies fall, we do not mourn, in silence we fight." Cheers erupted across the fleet. Pilots beat their fists on their cockpits. Marines checked their rifles and armor. Engineers whispered prayers as they fueled the weapons. The first target was a border system controlled by the enemy. Intelligence showed a small garrison and a fleet of patrol ships. It was meant to keep Earth away. A wall of intimidation. But walls can be broken. The Leviathan dropped out of hyperspace first, its black hull casting a shadow across the system's twin suns. Then the rest of the fleet appeared, dozens of ships, snapping into real space like thunderclaps. Enemy patrols rushed forward, alarm signals flashing. Their commander laughed, thinking it was a foolish raid. "Destroy them," he ordered. "Show them their mistake." The first strike began. Fighter. Wings launched from human carriers. Engines screaming blue fire. They swarmed like angry hornets, tearing into the patrol ships. Explosions lit the void. The Leviathan's forward cannons powered up. A deep rumble filled the ship as its massive railgun locked onto the enemy's largest cruiser. "Fire, Captain," Voss ordered. A streak of light cut across space. The enemy cruiser didn't have time to raise its shields before it was split in half, its hull burning as it broke apart. The patrol commander's laughter turned to silence. His eyes widened. What kind of weapon is that? But it was too late. On the enemy base below, soldiers scrambled. Sirens blared as humans descended from the sky. Dropships roared through the atmosphere, armored troops inside gripping their weapons tightly. When the hatches opened, Earth's Marines stormed out with precision. They moved fast, cutting through defenses. The enemy had expected fear. What they found was fury. Sergeant Hayes, leading one squad, raised the Earth banner on the captured base tower. His voice carried over the coms. "Base secured. Humanity stands." The fleet above cheered. For the first time since the fall of their allies, Earth had struck back and won. But victory came with a price. One human destroyer, the Indomitable, was surrounded by 3 enemy ships. Its captain refused to retreat. With shields failing and engines burning, the Indomitable rammed into the enemy flagship, tearing it apart in a blaze of fire. The crew went down with their ship, their sacrifice echoing across the fleet. Captain Voss bowed her head when the news reached her. "Heroes," she whispered, "we will not forget them." Admiral Rourke sent a message across all ships. They gave their lives so others could live. That is the spirit of humanity. That is why we will win. Back on the enemy homeworld, news of the battle reached the high command. At first, disbelief filled the council chamber. "Impossible," one commander hissed. "They were supposed to be cowards. They were supposed to hide." Another slammed his claws against the table. "They killed an entire fleet with only one ship leading them." Silence spread. For the first time, fear touched their voices. One elder commander leaned forward. "These humans, they are not like the others. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for vengeance. And vengeance makes them strong." Meanwhile, the Leviathan and the fleet gathered at the edge of the system. Fires burned in the distance, wreckage floated in the void. And humanity's ships stood victorious. But no one celebrated too long. Captain Voss knew this was only the beginning. She turned to her officers. "The enemy will come for us now. They will throw everything they have. We must be ready." Her first officer asked, "Do we retreat, Captain?" Voss shook her head. Her eyes blazed with determination. "No, we advance. They wanted us to fear. Instead, we will bring fear to them." The humans captured enemy data from the destroyed base. Among the files were plans for a larger assault fleet gathering near the enemy's capital. If those ships launched, Earth itself could be in danger. Admiral Rourke studied the maps. His voice was hard. "We strike them before they strike us. We take the war to their heart." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Attacking the enemy's core was dangerous, but no one doubted anymore. Humanity had already chosen its path. That night, in the quiet of her quarters, Captain Voss looked out at the stars. She thought of the allies who had fallen, of the sacrifice, of the millions who depended on her fleet. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass. She whispered to herself, "They killed our friends. They wanted silence. But now the galaxy will hear us roar." And so the first strike ended. The galaxy had seen humanity's answer. Not silence, not fear, war. Fire across the stars. The wreckage of the first battle still floated in the dark void. Twisted metal glowing with fading fire. Humanity had won, but Captain Arya Voss knew this was only the beginning. Victories in war were not measured by one strike, but by the fire that spread after it. On the Leviathan's bridge, Admiral Rourke studied the enemy maps stolen from the captured base. His jaw tightened as he traced the symbols of enemy fleets. "They are preparing an invasion," he said. "Their warships gather near their core systems. If we wait, they will march on Earth itself." Silence fell over the command deck. Everyone knew what he was about to say. "We cannot wait. We must carry this war across the stars. Hit them before they hit us." The fleet's officers argued. Some feared the risk. Humanity had fewer ships, fewer resources. A long war could bleed them dry, but Captain Voss leaned forward, her voice calm but sharp. "They already believe we are weak. If we retreat now, they will be right. We must strike again, harder. Show them that every step they take closer to Earth costs them blood." Her words carried weight. Humanity had already crossed the line. There was no going back. Preparations began at once. Shipyards on Earth sent reinforcements. Colonies contributed fuel, weapons, and volunteers. Across the planet, news of the first victory spread like wildfire. Children lit candles in honor of the fallen. Crowds gathered in the streets, chanting, "For Earth, for our allies." Factories doubled their shifts. Soldiers swore oaths to fight until the enemy was broken. The galaxy had warned humanity to stay silent. Instead, humanity's answer was louder than ever. Days later, the Leviathan and its fleet entered another system, the enemy's supply route. Destroying it would cripple their ability to fuel their massive fleets. As the humans arrived, enemy ships scrambled to respond. But this time, they were ready. Dozens of warships rushed forward, larger than anything humanity had faced before. Their commanders were furious after the first defeat. "Crush them," an alien captain hissed. "Make Earth pay for their defiance." The battle began. The Leviathan's cannons roared, tearing through the void. Human fighters swarmed like a storm of steel and fire, weaving between enemy blasts. Explosions lit up the dark as ships collided, shields shattered, and engines burned in the chaos. The Leviathan targeted the supply convoys. Massive fuel barges erupted in flames, one after another. Without supplies, the enemy's fleet would wither, but the enemy struck back with fury. Missiles rained down on Earth's smaller ships. One cruiser, the Vanguard, took a direct hit to its engines. The crew refused to abandon ship. Instead, they turned their crippled vessel toward the enemy and detonated its core, taking 3 enemy destroyers with them. "Heroes," Captain Voss whispered as she watched the explosion from her command deck. Meanwhile, on the ground, enemy commanders screamed in rage. Reports came from across their empire. Human fleets raiding, human troops striking fast, bases falling one by one. "They should not be able to fight us," one shouted. "Their fleets are small. Their empire is young." But another commander growled with unease. "Do you not see? They fight with rage, not numbers. Every loss only fuels them further. We killed their allies, and in doing so, we gave them something far more dangerous than strength." The others stared at him. What purpose? Back on Earth, President Alina Marlowe stood before the Council of Nations once more. Her voice carried across every colony, every outpost, every ship in the fleet. "Our enemies believe fear will silence us. They believe terror will chain us. But look around you. Humanity has not bowed. Humanity has risen. Our allies fell, but their killers will not laugh for long. We will carry fire across the stars until justice is done. Her words became more than a speech. They became a call to arms. Across Earth and her colonies, recruitment soared. Entire factories converted to weapons production. Humanity had chosen total war. The enemy responded with desperation. Fleets were pulled from distant borders. Armies were recalled to protect their worlds. But with every move they made, the humans were already there, raiding, striking, burning. Supply lines, toppling defenses. The galaxy watched in shock. For centuries, humans had been dismissed as latecomers to the stars, explorers and traders, nothing more. Now they saw a new face of Earth, unyielding, relentless, furious, on the Leviathan. The crew celebrated their victory. But Captain Voss stood apart, gazing at the stars. She knew the war was far from over. Her first officer approached. We've crippled their supply routes. Their fleets are scattering. We may actually win this. Voss shook her head. No. They will not let this end so easily. They will bring their full strength. The real war is still ahead. She turned back to the star map, her voice quiet but sharp as steel. And when they come, we'll be ready. Far across the galaxy, in the enemy's grand war chamber, the alien High Council gathered. Their pride was wounded, their fleets bleeding, their commanders humiliated. The leader slammed his claws against the table. Enough, these humans dare to strike our heart. If they want war, we will give them war. Gather every fleet, every army. We will drown Earth in fire. But another, older commander leaned back, his eyes narrowed. You think fire will stop them? No. You will only fuel them further. Do you not understand yet? Every ally they lose, every city they see burn, only makes them fight harder. These humans, he paused, his voice low and grim. They are the storm we created. The chamber fell into uneasy silence, and so the war spread wider. Fire leaped from system to system, star to star. Humanity carried vengeance across the galaxy, each battle sharper than the last, each victory a warning to their enemies. But deep inside, Captain Voss and Admiral Rourke both knew the enemy would strike back with everything they had, and when that day came, humanity would stand or fall not for allies, not for vengeance, but for survival itself. The enemy's wrath, the stars trembled with silence before the storm. Humanity's strikes had burned across enemy supply lines and weakened their fleets, but everyone knew it could not last forever. The enemy would strike back. The only question was when and how hard. Captain Arya Voss stood on the bridge of the Leviathan, watching reports stream in from scouts. Entire sectors had gone dark. Civilian transports reported massive fleets moving, too large to count. One report came with shaky video, endless rows of warships, each larger than cities, gathering like a tide. Admiral Rourke studied the footage. His face was carved with stone. They're coming, not with raids, not with threats, with everything. Back on Earth, alarms rang across every major city. Defense satellites were brought online. Colonies dug bunkers. Factories shifted into full production, building weapons non-stop. President Elena Marlowe stood before the council, her voice calm but heavy. The enemy comes with wrath. They want to erase us, not just defeat us. But hear me well, we will not bow. Humanity has fought extinction before. Fire, ice, war, plague. We endured all of it, and now we endure this preparatory fight. Endure. Her words carried across every ship and every colony, but fear still lingered. Humanity had never faced a fleet so large, so determined. The enemy called it the cleansing war. Their High Council sent orders to every commander: no mercy, no peace. Earth was to be wiped clean, colonies burned, survivors enslaved or erased. This was not politics. It was vengeance. In their great war chamber, alien generals argued. Some still believed humans could be reasoned with, controlled, but the majority shouted them down. They defy us, one commander roared. They dared to strike at our core. We will crush their homeworld, burn their colonies, and scatter their people to the void. The council leader raised his hand for silence. His voice was cold. Then it is decided. Every fleet, every weapon, humanity must be destroyed. The storm began. In the far colonies of the Helios belt, the first wave struck. Dozens of alien warships descended, unleashing firestorms that turned mining stations into ash. Human defenders fought with courage, but were overwhelmed. One station, refusing to surrender, ignited its own reactors. The explosion destroyed half the attacking fleet. But the colony was gone. The message was clear. The enemy would not stop. On the Leviathan, Captain Voss clenched her fists as she read the casualty reports. Entire systems falling. Civilian ships slaughtered. Her first officer whispered, "How do we fight this? Their fleets are endless." Voss turned, her voice sharp. "Endless fleets still bleed. Endless fleets still burn. And as long as one human breathes, they will never take Earth." Her crew nodded, fire in their eyes. Fear turned into fury. Admiral Rourke knew they could not fight this war the old way. Humanity's strength was not in numbers. It was in will, in daring. He ordered fleets to split, to harass and bleed the enemy instead of meeting them head-on. Human destroyers struck from asteroid fields, launching missiles before vanishing into the dark. Stealth craft crept behind enemy lines, planting bombs in fuel depots. Colonists armed themselves, turning farmlands into traps. Every step forward for the enemy was soaked in blood, but the wrath of the enemy only grew. In orbit above the colony of Dorian Prime, an alien super-dreadnought appeared. It was larger than any ship humanity had ever seen, bristling with weapons capable of leveling cities from orbit. It began its bombardment, reducing entire regions to molten glass. The people of Dorian Prime fought back with everything: fighters, ground cannons, even converted cargo ships. But nothing slowed the behemoth, until the Ironclad, a single human battleship, charged headlong into the dreadnought's guns. Its hull was torn apart, but the Ironclad rammed into the enemy giant and detonated its reactors. The resulting explosion lit up the skies, seen across the planet below. The dreadnought fell. The colony survived. Humanity cheered the sacrifice, but they also understood. For every victory, 10 more battles waited. The galaxy watched in shock. Neutral species whispered in fear. Many had once laughed at humans, calling them reckless, fragile, unimportant. Now they watched a war unlike any in Memorian Empire's wrath, colliding with humanity's defiance. Some began to wonder, could humanity actually survive? Or worse, for the Empire, could they win? On the Leviathan, the crew gathered in the mess hall after another narrow escape. They were tired, bruised, and grieving, but they were alive. One young pilot stood and raised his glass. They thought we would run. They thought fear would break us. But look around. We're still here. And as long as one ship sails, humanity still fights. The room erupted in cheers. Laughter and voices filled the air, echoing with determination. Captain Voss watched silently. She did not smile. She knew more storms were coming, but she also knew something else. Wrath alone could not break humanity. It only made them stronger. Far away in the alien war council, frustration boiled. Reports of lost fleets piled higher. Supply lines cut. Dreadnoughts destroyed. They are pests. One general roared, "Why will they not die?" An older voice answered, weary but sharp, "Because we gave them something stronger than fear. We gave them a reason to fight." The chamber fell into silence. Even in their wrath, the Empire began to realize the truth. They had turned humanity into something they could not control. The war blazed hotter than ever, each battle heavier, each sacrifice greater. Humanity bled, but so did the Empire, and deep in the heart of the storm, Admiral Rourke prepared for the greatest challenge yet. The Empire was sending its full armada toward Earth itself. He looked to Captain Voss. "They think wrath will finish us, but they don't understand. Wrath will only awaken us." And so, humanity prepared to stand against the fire of an empire. Earth's stand. The stars above Earth were no longer quiet. They burned with the light of 1,000 warships moving closer. The Empire had sent its full armada: dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers. Ships so large they blotted out the sun when they passed. From orbit, the sky looked like a storm of steel. It was the end game. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Captain Arya Voss stood rigid, her eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. She had fought battles across the galaxy, lost comrades, seen entire colonies burn. But this was different. This was home. Admiral Rourke's voice boomed across the command channel. "They want to erase us. They want to burn Earth to ashes. But we will not kneel. Today, we fight for every child, every elder, every soul. Who calls this planet home? Hold the line. No retreat." His words echoed in every ship of the human fleet. Earth's defenses came alive. Dozens of orbital defense stations lit up, their cannons glowing with power. Planetary shields shimmered blue across the skies. On the ground, missile silos opened. Cities braced for the storm. Civilians crowded into bunkers, holding their breath. Every human heart beat with the same rhythm: fear, anger, defiance. Then, the Empire struck. The first volley of plasma fire rained down from orbit, slamming into Earth's shields. The planet shook. Towers trembled. Seas boiled. But the shields held. Human cannons fired back. Missiles streaked through the void, cutting through enemy formations. Dozens of alien warships exploded, torn apart by human precision. But the Empire's numbers were overwhelming. For every ship destroyed, 10 more advanced. Their super dreadnoughts loomed like gods of war, unleashing firestorms that shattered defense platforms. The battle for Earth had begun. On the Leviathan, alarms screamed. Hull plating shook. Fires broke out across decks. But Captain Voss refused to give the order to retreat. "Push forward," she shouted. "Take the fight to them." Her crew obeyed, sending wave after wave of torpedoes into enemy carriers. One carrier burst apart, spilling burning fragments across space. Another was crippled, its engines torn away. But the Leviathan took hits in return, its armor cracking, its systems failing. Admiral Rourke commanded from the flagship Eternal Resolve. His eyes scanned the battlefield. Every instinct told him the same thing: this was the moment. If Earth fell, humanity fell. Activate the hidden batteries. He ordered. Across the dark side of the moon, hidden silos opened. Colossal cannons rose from craters, charging with light. With a thunderous blast, they fired, lances of energy cutting through space. Entire enemy formations were wiped out in seconds, their ships torn apart like paper the galaxy had never seen. Earth's secret weapons. Now, the Empire did, and they learned fear. But still, the Empire pressed on. Their command dreadnought moved into Earth's orbit, a ship so massive it could shatter continents. Its main weapon began to charge. A swirling sun of energy meant to pierce Earth's shields and scorch the planet below. On the Leviathan, Captain Voss's voice shook with fury. If that weapon fires, Earth is lost. She turned to her crew. We're going in. The Leviathan, burning and battered, launched one final charge. Enemy fire raked its hull, tearing it apart. But the ship pressed forward, engines screaming, weapons blazing. The dreadnought turned its guns toward the charging human vessel, but it was too late. With a cry, the Leviathan slammed into the dreadnought's weapon core. Voss gave her last order: detonate. The explosion lit up the void like a second sun. The dreadnought shattered, breaking apart into burning fragments. The Leviathan was gone, but Earth was saved for now. The sacrifice rallied the fleet. Every human ship, every pilot, every soldier fought with renewed fire. They hurled themselves at the enemy, turning fear into fury. Small corvettes weaved through alien formations, planting charges. Human battleships, though outnumbered, rammed enemy cruisers at point-blank range. Even civilian freighters joined the fight, crashing into alien vessels with defiance. The Empire had numbers. Humanity had will at last. Admiral Rourke saw the enemy falter. Their formations broke. Their command ships were gone. Their fleets, once endless, now scattered. Rourke rose from his chair, his voice like thunder. Press the attack. Drive them out of our skies. The human fleet surged forward, chasing the enemy into the dark. Explosions lit the heavens. One by one, alien ships fell, until silence returned. The battlefield around Earth was littered with wreckage. Burning debris rained into the atmosphere, lighting the skies with streaks of fire. Humanity's fleet was broken, bloodied but victorious. Earth still stood in the aftermath. Admiral Rourke stood before his surviving commanders. His voice was quiet, but steady. They thought humanity would bow. They thought fear would break us. Instead, we showed them what happens when you threaten our home. We will never bow. Not to empires, not to ultimatums, not to anyone. The galaxy trembled at the news. The Empire's wrath had failed. A world once dismissed as weak had stood against the storm and survived. Species everywhere whispered the same words. Humanity does not break. Humanity fights. And from the ruins of the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen, one truth shone brighter than the fires in the sky. When Earth stands, humanity rises.